All right, so today we're going to talk about the future of education, right? I got some notes here just to keep us on track, keep us from
I didn't
rambling.
make it. I didn't make any notes. I should have. I thought about it, but I didn't because of some of
I
the
thought about
videos.
yeah, I thought about making more notes than I actually made.
Yeah,
Tragic.
well,
But I just
coulda,
kind of
woulda,
made
shoulda.
something. Yeah, that's how it goes in life. It's my entire life.
I feel you there.
So let's just get right into it. Obviously, the education system, I can only speak for America, mostly here in the Southeast, and I assume it extends out to the rest of America. It sucks. Let's be real
Yeah,
here.
I
Let's
would
get right
agree.
into it.
I'm
We
proof.
got this weird situation where we want to create a mature world, but keep everybody childlike forever. Like adolescent till you're 25.
Yes.
I'll get straight to it. I think that what should happen is by the time you leave eighth grade, you've already learned everything that people now learn in high school. We could do this. We could do it with the aid of technology. And when the age in which you would actually go to high school, you go to some version of community college or university. So by the time you're 18, you're out in the world. You're out there, buddy. You're a productive member of society by the time you're 18, if not before. Dude, we can definitely do this. To act like we can't is silly. It's archaic. We have a
No,
100-year-old
we
education system.
we definitely could. I mean, I remember it's a couple of weeks ago, before we even thought about talking about this topic, there was a video I came across on YouTube talking about the lack of educational development we had in the United States as the Cold War was brewing. It was somewhat in the early stages of it, where it was all fairly kind of laxed, and there was no ass behind anyone to do anything per se. But after studying the Soviet Union and whatnot, they realized that American government agencies realized at the time that there was just a huge, I guess you could say, a huge separation between the Americans and the Soviets and how they trained and taught their youth. And the Soviets were hard pressed in the books, and their youth had a fuck ton of homework, a lot of stuff to study. I mean, they were all about their studies, because it was a Cold War. We were racing to get into space, racing to have the baddest weaponry, whatever. But fast forward a little bit, once they have did research on what they were doing over the USSR, they kind of copied it in some ways here and just buckled down and to speed it up even a bit more. You kind of seen an increase. You've seen an increase in educational output and performance of students as they went through this new change in education throughout the educational system. Because we were pushing heavily in science, R&D, mathematics. Those were the hot topics, and today not so much. It seems like it with the age of modern electronics, AI, and talk of cybernetics and synthetics and all of that. But really, it's just glamour, it's just glitter, it's just all surface level, and it's just maybe some rich people will get to play with it someday. But back then, it was deeply embedded in the culture that we're going to build the best rockets, we're going to build the best jet planes, we're going to build whatever it was, America was going to do it the best. And the youth, it's from how the video put it, the youth itself was just really into it, for lack of a better way to put it. You from how the video put it again, it was just you could tell there was less force on it and more the kids just wanted it, and it seemed like it made it easy for these kids to develop these practices through the years, through the 50s, 60s, and 70s and what. I'm not too sure when that started when we started to leave that. If I had to guess, probably the 80s, because that's towards the ends of the 70s into the 80s. That's around the time where consumer products became a lot more easy to come by, and consumer products are a lot more easy to come by, you will end up having more lazy populace over time because they can just go buy instant gratification thingamajigs to waste their time and money on.
Yeah, that might. Yeah, I could see that. Unfortunately, I wonder how it's going in Russia now in the education system. I
I
wonder how
don't know. I'm
that's.
curious. It's just crazy to me, like just looking back at it then, like how we were just so. And you got to think the modern school system of the day. I don't know. It's so weird because we were able to have an educational output like we did then to create scientists, engineers like no other. And you would think that the modern school system today would be carrying on that legacy, but it seems like it is divulged down into a more deteriorated state where it's
Yeah, it's
really
just
just
like most.
they're
It's
just
like
training us today to be good consumers.
well, it's the same way that a typical like factory worker is today. He just goes
Yeah,
in, punches in, does the least he can do, and get out of
yeah,
there and collect his paycheck. They're do children, I would say, are probably doing the exact same thing in school when it shouldn't be like that. The most important thing is we learn more information faster.
yes,
Obviously, better nutrition can provide that, and
yes. All that
access to technology.
a steady environment, access to modern electronics,
Yeah, like AI coming on the
yes,
scene. We watched all these
access.
videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we watched all these videos about how AI could be used to like have a personal tutor, and unfortunately, that seems to be like the extent of the imagination of this. That's just one way in which artificial
Yeah,
intelligence could be used, but large language models, uh, we can have it refine curriculums. Honestly, a more individualized curriculum would be better if we could set something like that up. And by the time it's just so important, I really think by the time you're around 12 or 13, you should start specializing.
you
You should
should. I
really,
mean,
yeah, whether
we.
it's going to be something white collar or blue collar,
Yes,
whatever
I
the
mean,
child's proclivities are.
yeah, I agree. I mean, around that time, I mean, yes, the early developmental stages of puberty. I mean, that's once you're at that point, man, you're a really young adult at this point. And
Yeah.
by the time you hit 14, you're kind of set in your ways of who you're gonna be as an even
Yeah, can you
old
imagine that you barely learn about finance or economics or like how to.
for a whole 18 years. All that time's wasted, and then when you're out, let's say you were out at 18, all of a sudden you need to know all this. But
Yeah, nothing about taxes, nothing about politics really.
yeah, a whole
You
decade and a half was wasted on you just being a yes man.
yeah, you just learning to do busy work,
Yeah, and
you
it's just
know?
a good little factory worker that made enough money to make his boss happy and to make his family happy, so they could buy their good little consumerism goods
Yeah, we got to
and
move
go back
past
at it
this.
the next day.
We got to
And I
start training
think,
creators, the people of the future
yeah,
who will bring about the future.
and I think a
And
good way to get that information out there, yeah, to each individual and then onto groups of people and so on and so on, is I think we need to, outside of good nutrition, steady environments, access to modern electronics or whatever technology, um, and the use of this new AI, I think it would be good to delve into some of the pages of the Chinese, for instance. I remember you and I were talking about how they're able to pack in with how they communicate, that their information could be more dense with
yeah,
less volume.
I think it's in the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. I think that's the book where he talks
Like
about how their
if America,
phonemes their
yeah, go
phonemes
ahead.
are shorter, and because their phonemes are shorter, they can build words earlier. And then
Yeah,
that gives them a compounding advantage across time because they can speak just a little faster, and that adds up.
yeah,
That means they can do math a little bit earlier. And
and that
these are
and
the
that just
things we need to look at. We can engineer
yeah,
these kinds of things. This
that
is
should
how
be
we can
developed for
leverage
modern
technology.
America.
Yeah, we can leverage technology to help develop these systems, these curriculums, and to really come up with like an individual educational development plan. Our country would be better served, our species would be better served for this. And I hate to keep going back to it, but that with genetic manipulation, we could flatten the IQ curve, whatever that means to you, some ability to take in information in a window of time. Now a lot of people will feel, we had this conversation earlier, and I can't stand when people will claim, well, I'm not smart.
Yeah.
I can't learn. It's like, no, that's bullshit. What happened is there's only one intelligence that matters, and it's your emotional intelligence. And by that I mean how well you can regulate your internal emotions. All it comes down to is your will, your ability to manage patience.
Yes.
In a given window of time when you're interacting with information, how can you train yourself to stay on the information and keep coming back to it rather than getting distracted? If you can do that, you'll become smart, because you'll start to amass more information. And the more information you amass, it compounds, and you get better at taking in information. It's like, but people cop out. I'm not smart. That guy was born smart. He's born a genius. And it's like, nah, I think we have a bit of laziness in society surrounding those ideas around who's smart and who's not. It's just a cop out. I know guys who they have achieved a lot in their life. I wouldn't consider them that like smart. Like they're not going to break out and do calculus or understand complex philosophical concepts, but they can operate in their reality at a high level simply because they show up every day and apply themselves. It's just sheer willpower, like Saitama or Rock Lee.
Yeah.
And those guys exist, man.
Yeah, they're out there.
Everybody can do that. It's possible for everyone to do. If we trained that in young people, and we gave them access to large amounts of information early, and we let them use technology. Like, I remember everybody's upset about AI and what it'll do to like write English papers. I hate writing English papers. What a massive waste of time. And we should let people use this technology to do better. We should figure out how to integrate the technology rather than be afraid of it and say you can't use it. Like the calculator. Dude, when we were kids, they did used to say that shit, that you will always have a calculator on you. And it's like, I got a goddamn supercomputer.
It's like we've got supercomputers in our pockets now.
Yeah. I got a calculator 100 orders of magnitude greater. Yeah. It's like, come on, people. It's like, so we don't know what the future will look like for these people who will eventually inherit the future. And we really got to set them up, man. We could overpower them, dude.
Yeah, I agree.
Genetic manipulation aside, we've got a lot of possible advantages here that we could provide children with. And we should be taking them.
Yeah, it starts, in large, it starts in the households.
It does.
Any steady households out there, that's where it's going to start. Obviously, it starts in your country's propaganda as well. That goes a long way. I think we've learned that now in our modern times of how much propaganda around the world and here in the U.S. has really altered our perception as we've moved forward through time. And
I know, that's a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's inescapable, though. Yeah.
Yeah. For better or worse, that's what's happened. And it's helped generate a feeling of momentum of moving forward. We're progressing through the decades. Conveniently, each decade feels different than the one previous. It looks different, and therefore it feels different, it seems.
Yeah, well, back to it starts in the home idea.
Yeah.
I think most parents just send their kids off to school and they expect society to handle it. I pay my taxes. There's an organization.
With
we
public
set
schools,
an
education, and a daycare, right?
Yeah, and then they don't worry about shit about what their child understands about the world. It's just like somehow they get raised up, and then you'll see a lot of this. You get the child, if he does go on to advance, if he's from a household that's not well managed, where people can't manage their emotions well, like jealousy or mistreatment, or on the other end, they're purposefully held back so they don't escape the family. And that's a tragedy
by the school
as well.
itself.
Yeah, or by the school itself. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
You gotta
man, that's terrible.
you have to worry about malicious actors, and not. And I need to use that somewhat lightly. I'm not trying to say malicious as in evil. Like I plan on making all the kids here fucking stupid. Nah, just they have numbers they want to keep,
Yeah.
or they want to make it the whole no child left behind bullshit. You know what? It's something that's not good for long term for the development of your young generations moving into adulthood and so on and so on. I find
Yeah.
myself at the end of my educational run, I find at the end of it, I look back and I'm like, I feel like I was just one of those that would just push through it at the end of the day. They were like, we're just going to get that bare minimum done for him and he's out. And in a way, I'm very grateful for that because I'm glad to be done with school. But at the same time, outside of me and my own willpower and willing myself into learning the things that they were offering at school, they should have done their job as well. Truly.
Yeah, I think we should redefine what their job is and what it looks like and what these institutions look like in our societies. Like me personally, I did fine in school.
Mm-hmm.
I could have done better, but to what end? I mean, for what
Yeah.
purpose? Now I wouldn't go back to school. Like right now, there's no chance that I would go to college. And if I was a
Yeah, I
young person,
understand.
I wouldn't go to college unless I was trying to actually like go get a doctorate and work in like research or
Yeah, if you're in
physics
some type
where,
of R&D, mathematician, engineer, something like
yeah,
that.
something highly prestigious that you need
Mm-hmm.
like that you need connections to get
Yeah.
involved with, or you needed like grants and stuff and you didn't come from a background of money, I
Mm-hmm.
understand it. But like just the average person who needs to go out and get a job and make money to pay bills and just and maintain their lifestyle, I don't think there's any reason. I mean, you can learn a tremendous amount of stuff on the internet. The
Yeah,
only
I mean,
downside to learning
yeah.
on the internet is you have to be disciplined enough to build your own curriculum and follow it. That's
Mm-hmm.
the
And do a lot of
one.
research. That's what it comes down to is a fuck ton of research and sticking to it.
Yeah, and just following that every day, showing
Yeah.
up every day to make it happen. And that's something
Mm-hmm.
an institution will provide. I would argue that's all you're paying for when you
Yeah.
go to a college or something. And that sucks. I
Yeah.
mean, also connections. You are paying for connections. And the older I get and the more that I live in the world, I realize that it's mostly about connections. Actually,
It is.
there's a society keeps going even though we're all like collectively bad. Like, and there was a
Mm-hmm.
time when I realized there's only one that society takes all of our collective faults and shortcomings and actually ends up better than any of us individually. You would think it would add up to something like worse, but it doesn't. And the only word I can think to describe that is grace.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing to me that we're all better for our shortcomings when they add together. It doesn't make any sense. It's kind of a weird paradox that
It
because
just,
of
I
our
guess,
shortcomings, we can build a massive system that benefits us all. And anyone who argues that society doesn't benefit us all is foolish. They're just trying to be
mm-hmm.
contrarian. It's like 200 years ago, if you look back at any window of history, you being a servant, a slave, or dying young of an infection or in war was the probability. It was a likely probability. Like
Yeah.
that was probably what was going to happen to you, and that was probably your fate. And we're all
Yeah, you
chilling
weren't.
now. We're all like living till 70, and cancer has to
Mm-hmm.
kill us.
All the way to the
And
point to where you become a weight on society, where you produce nothing and you just merely consume what it produces to keep you going.
yeah, I know. I mean,
And that's a
God, we got to do
detriment
something.
in itself, you know,
I
for
know.
society as a whole. I mean, Japan has that issue. They have a huge centurion base, people 100 and over, or high 80s and 90s. But I mean, it's great. It's cool you live, but I mean, 80s, 90s, and hundreds, you're not producing anything for society because you're taxing. You're very taxing. I'm necessarily trying to say that's good or bad, but it's just
Yeah,
someone's got to take care of these people.
historically, the majority of people didn't live that long.
Yeah, no.
You know, I don't know the exact number, but I imagine across the history of our species, the average age, the average lifespan is probably somewhere around the 30s or 40s. And
Mm-hmm.
we're outpacing that now
We've
greatly.
doubled it.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah. And
easily.
for the common person too, like the majority of people, the
Yeah,
average lifespan now for like a white male is like what, mid 70s? I
yeah.
mean,
I mean,
it
you,
it's
it,
crazy. It's like if we don't
yeah,
start improving, if we don't start improving our societies, things, I don't know how things go well and how they don't, how entropy doesn't take over and make things worse. And the only way to improve society is to make children smarter, make future human beings smarter. They have better access,
yeah,
better control of, better understanding of the information that makes up our societies, our reality. That's what we have to aim towards.
mm-hmm.
And dude, we got to use AI to do this. I hate to keep harping on this AI thing. Uh, there's
Yeah.
so
AI
many
and yeah,
there's so many ways in which we could use it to develop curriculums, understand people, and apply that knowledge. That it'd be a real shame if we didn't capitalize on that, what we have right
yeah.
here in front of us right now.
I hope there could be ideas, compilations of ideas, some way of having dense information in less volume, similar to what we were talking about earlier with the Chinese language. More dense, more. Does I don't know. Like, if we could store more information, whatever it was you were trying to teach someone, if there's a way to summarize it in a very dense form,
Yeah, I
and
see
that,
what you're saying.
yeah,
You could basically distill information down, get rid of pieces of the information that are kind of fluff and not absolutely necessary, or
yeah,
compress the information, compress it rather, and
mm-hmm,
deliver it, and it still be
mm-hmm,
as impactful.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't I don't know how we do that. Maybe we do it to some degree now. I'd like to look at the curriculums because for me, math is the most important. I hate to say that. A good understanding of math and physics and communication, not necessarily like learning how to write a paper. ChatGPT can do that for you.
no, I think the two,
You can speak to ChatGPT, tell it what you want, and it can help you follow the rules
yeah,
and get the
yeah,
structure
yeah,
right.
right,
Really what we need to focus on is being creators,
mm-hmm,
is fulfilling our duty as creators in this reality. And we should focus on that. We
yeah,
should not focus on being memory storage
consumers,
systems. Yeah, we shouldn't
yes,
focus on how much you can remember. That is silly. We
yeah,
have technology for that. We have machines for that. And we
mm-hmm,
shouldn't focus on your ability to repeatedly process a standardized task. We have
yeah,
machines for that.
mm-hmm,
We should focus on novelty. Human beings being able to generate new things on a whim when they're needed. That's how we should be training children, young people, hell, even old people, if they're willing to be re-educated. That's what we should focus on. That should be the way we structure curriculums and methods and in the long term, in the short term and the long term. That's what we got to focus on. I think, and I could be wrong. We could just be the goal could just be the best thing for our species is to raise an entire population of near slaves. They're just smart enough to do all the work, but not smart enough to realize that every system is progressive levels of slavery.
yeah. I mean, you could argue that's the practice of consumerism.
Yeah, or every economic practice we've had so far. It's like we can't escape it. I mean, I know I harp on this whole will to power thing, and it's
Yeah,
only because it seems true. I'd love for us to get past it. It'd be a
And
wonderful thing for our species.
and another thing I get to add to it is that no matter how much we harp on whatever, or how many of these videos that talk about the formations of new educational actions or this and that for whatever new education system's coming about, nothing's changing on the macro level of education in this country unless the elites, whoever they may be, want it to happen. It's
Yeah, I know.
even if society as a whole wants it.
Or if individual parents start taking their children's education into their own hands, and education doesn't mean,
That's
hey,
true.
do you know 6 times 6? Education means,
Yeah, that's memory.
yeah, education means how can you gather
critical
and
thinking.
apply information? Yeah, how can you gather and apply information, especially in ways that are necessary given a task at hand? That right there.
How well are you? How well can you? How good are you at recognizing patterns? How quickly can you do it? How well can you think for yourselves? Think outside of the box. Critical thinking in general. That's true knowledge, wisdom. It's a lot of our, what we would say someone is smart is based around someone memorizing something. On an extreme level, even up to the highest echelons, they're just glorified indexes.
I mean, that's how you're graded.
Yeah,
that's what grading
that's
is.
cool, but that's what a computer's for.
Yeah, I know.
That's what the dumb little inanimate box sitting on your shelf is for, is to remember the thing that you really don't need to waste your time remembering, because it's just clogging up space.
Yeah, well, the argument is, well, you have to know this. It's important for you to understand all the fundamentals, because what if we lose it one day? It's like, buddy, we've got bigger problems. If one day we don't have access as a society to the technology that we have access to right now, nothing will save us. I'm going to tell you, we're too far along that if this reverses, it's terror and tragedy, dude. It's like, I don't care how many times tables you can do, and if you memorized sine, cosine tables, I don't give a damn how much of that stuff you've memorized, how many words what they're part of the speech, or how grammar is structured. None of that matters, because people will literally devolve and turn back into savages to some degree, and we're not far away from that kind of savagery. We like to imagine that we are.
It's around the corner. And, our current state of affairs across this country and other nations around the world, and this year and previous years, it's been proven that the act of savagery is just around the corner. It just takes one bad actor or a couple, and people are quick to
not
get
even
back
bad actors, but terrible entropic events. Events that reverse.
Natural,
I mean, what meteor hitting, bombs going off, viruses getting released.
As of right now, to the public, we have no way of stopping an asteroid heading our way. Something of serious magnitude that would wipe us out. No.
Just anything that would rock our current stability would set us back. And it's like, it don't matter if we don't. Here's the goal. Use the technology in such a way you can advance so far that it could never happen that you go backwards to the point where you don't have the technology. And that can be done.
That's a goal. Oh, yeah.
That can be done. We can manage that. It might be scary. Yes. We might be stepping into a world that we've never fathomed, only in science fiction.
Well, that kind of ties into our previous video, right? Of humans not liking the fact that they can touch the fire of gods.
Yeah. That fear. Unfortunately, if we go back and look at it in a progressive conservative framework, conservatives fear the advancement. But there literally is no such thing as conservative education. That's silly.
No.
That's a silly idea.
It's like all in all, you're just conserving certain things for just long enough to keep you stable for just long enough until the next progressive things move down the ladder to become the new conserved things that push us forward again.
Yeah. Conservatism is
Sorry,
soft
that keep us
progressivism.
that keep us stable long enough to allow for more progressivism to do, and so on and so on. It's just like climbing down a ladder, climbing up.
Yeah, because true
Yeah,
conservatism is extinction.
yeah. We
Yeah.
would not live long.
Yeah.
Not like
But
this,
if you look at it on the other end, though, and you look at like a progressive relationship to education, currently, right now in the modern day, it's weird, dude. I don't even know how to explain it. It's not really focused on.
Well, it's not focused on any of the steams at all. Sorry,
Yeah, I
it's focused.
know.
It's focused on one arts
Yeah,
of
in a
all things.
weird, twisted way.
Yeah, and I think it's because it's the easiest to virtue signal with, and it's the easiest to grasp for anyone. And
Yeah, but they fear the real power that the rest of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They fear what the power that will deliver.
They also fear true art too.
Yeah, they do.
Like
I could agree
Renaissance,
with you.
like Renaissance paintings and engineering, like from the Renaissance era. You'll never see that shit in the modern era again. Not anytime soon.
Yeah, because they don't like
fear
anything that represents
type of godlike ability. They fear that.
Yeah,
They're
they don't like
'Who are you?
anything.
I should be able to take a handful of crayons and scribble it on a fucking piece of parchment, and that should be good enough. And you should pay me
It's
for
the
it.
whole beauty's in the eye of the beholder thing, which to some degree I understand. I can actually relate to that. But in large part, because of what we are, the organism that we are, we respect certain aesthetic forms. You know, when you see someone paint a realistic photo, you're just in awe. You're like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
I think it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of humans for whatever reason. But humans recognize true beauty in what is not true beauty, and anything else is denial. And
What
I
do you
think that's
mean?
why. And I guess, could you compare a painting of who would you say was a really good artist? Michelangelo, right?
Yeah, Michelangelo.
Great. All right. So you take one of his beautiful
Historically.
paintings, right? Take one of his, and then you grab whatever bullshit abstract artist. You put them next to each other. Their paintings.
Well, it depends on your values. It depends on what you value.
I think regardless of that, Michelangelo's paintings are going to trigger a beauty input inside of a human, and anything else is them acting in defiance of it.
I don't deny that. I don't think there's any real metrics, though, that you can come up with to judge
Of course
beauty.
not. It's deep. It's extremely
Each
human.
person's going to decide what's beautiful inside of them. Now, they may lie about it. They may distort it. They may misrepresent it. Like me, I would much rather see the Michelangelo painting as well.
I mean,
but
there's a reason we don't promote
that doesn't mean that if I
bloodlines.
painted an abstract painting, I wouldn't find beauty in it.
There's a reason
but I
we
wouldn't
don't
expect
promote
everyone else to. Honestly, it'd be weird to
retardation
me
in
if
society.
everyone else
It doesn't
did.
lead to beautiful outcomes. It leads to misery.
I don't think so. I think that's like a large, like massive Jordan Peterson take. I think that you can have abstract art and you can see the beauty in it, but you have to recognize how pragmatic and fundamental the beauty is in a piece of Michelangelo's art.
I guess I understand that. Yeah, that makes
And the reason
sense.
I say this is because let's not focus so much on visual art. Let's go to music, right?
Okay.
Let's look at music under this framework. A lot of people don't like metal. They say it sounds like noise. And that's because it doesn't follow this typical, the typical tuning, diatonic scales. It's heavily distorted. So you have a lot of microtones, a lot of noise. But we love metal.
Yeah.
You know? And they would say that that's bastardized, that metal's kind of like this abstract form of music that's more closer to noise rather than highly ordered, obviously beautiful music. Like, you can't deny when you listen to Bach, like, it is beautiful. Chopin, I love Chopin. It's beautiful music. But I also love metal. I also love, what's your boy doing what's that guy? He's like, that guy. I love it. It's like, I get it, bro. It's just, patterns.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
You
really
know?
whatever gives you those dopamine hits, man.
It is. And that's why I think
really,
that it's
really
foolish.
comes down to.
I'm not saying that abstract art is more beautiful, but what I'm saying is abstract art's beautiful too, just in a different way. And I guess the thing I could liken it to the most is romantic love versus love you would have for like your child.
Right.
They're both love. They're just different forms of love. It's a different mode of love. It's expressed in a different way. It internalizes it in a person in a different manner. But we kind of went off the rails here from the future of education.
We did. Right,
we can kind of rein it back. Yeah.
You see.
But the point I was trying to make, though, and how we got off on this is that everyone's an artist. We should really be bringing out the inner artist to every person. We should find a way to cultivate that. I don't know how we do that.
It could really be it could be a really good alley to walk down to branch out into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. There could be an artistic form, artistic shape that shapes those other fields, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, because at the root, they're all art. And at the root of this, we're all artists in reality. Mm-hmm. And we can get on this in another day in why I think we're all artists, and that being a potential telos. I'm not saying it's true, but this is just a way of thinking that sometimes I go down. It's like a potential telos, like a potential purpose for our species and consciousness in what we are, to reflect this idea of God, that these religions would have. And honestly, if we can create, it makes me believe that there is a greater level of creator, a greater level of creation, and we should emulate that, and we should strive towards that. That's how I feel. And instead, we can't all just keep treating each other like we deserve our chains. Like we're all just evil here, and you're a piece of shit who deserves to be a slave and go work for $12 an hour. It's
you can't. We shouldn't do each other like that. And it's what it is. Well, not what it is, but what it seems to be a lot is it's typically when it's someone in the same class as another who's doing the beatdowns.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a middle class coming to beat the poor class down, or the elite. I guess you got some weird elite classes out there, but they get it. They got fetishes. But for the most part, it's typically interclassism is what creates feuds amongst each other.
Especially in the middle class. In the middle class.
Yeah, but not just, I would say another segue to that is, it's the elites riling up the poors to go after the middle class, because in a way they're being told the middle class has it all, and it's because of them of why you're poor.
We've got to handle this. We've got to handle this. Economics, not only does education need to be one of our species' next big problems to solve or systems to develop, economics needs to. We really got to put some focus on this as a species.
Well, wouldn't that organically happen, though, if we got a wonderful grip on our educational system?
I'd like to imagine. I mean, but they'll purposefully destroy that because, the people who have want to keep having. Yeah. And dude, something's got to be done. We need to advance as a species, or the game's over at some point. Yeah, I'd like to play the game out as long as we could. I mean, why not? We're here. I mean,
we already have a huge separation of wealth. We have a few tickets left to spend, and one of them is closing the gap, or not letting a gap form at all, or keeping it very small with the separation of educational development for those that may have more in material value and those that have less.
Yeah,
You
and
know, if you
understanding
can
and use
keep
of technology.
yeah,
That
if you
gap's
can
still
keep the
pretty small.
if you can keep the educational gap small between the classes, you know, regardless of what you can afford, then you have a good chance.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a good chance of a more balanced society.
You do. You do. Because really, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's just those that know versus those that don't know. And, and, and you know, ironically, that kind of becomes inverted simultaneously because those that know end up not liking those that don't know, and vice versa. And then within both of those groups, you have sectors that appreciate both and realize one can help the other, and both can merge together, become the nose, for lack of a better way to put it. But it's like, regardless of what group you're in that represents whatever, you tend to have factions that feud.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if we'll ever escape that because back to it, that's just pure tribalism.
Yeah, I
Can we
mean,
escape tribalism? We're back to
we're
this again.
we're a
Fucking
warring
shit flingers.
species. Yeah, we're a warring
You know,
species. I
man,
mean,
we should have
honestly,
named
you
that
look.
podcast that.
Hell yeah. If you look through most of the animal kingdom, what species isn't a warring species? Like, who
I
out
mean,
there ain't throwing down over something at some point?
but it's incredibly, it's local, it's small conflicts, and it's necessary, and it's based around resources. We will
Yeah.
kill people based on ideas, and we'll kill them
Yeah.
in mass, man, millions, with no conscience whatsoever. No matter what religion this or that group's supposed to follow, supposed to
Yeah.
condemn it. There's a
You're right.
workaround where those
Yeah.
people are evil, and it's okay to kill those people.
Yeah.
No
I
matter
mean,
what worldview we adopt, no matter how educated we think we are as a modern society, you take a guy like Einstein, and he's supposed to be a man of the world, and he's supposed to see these tragedies and be wise, yet he still helps in some small way develop nuclear technology because he
yeah.
thinks that's what his group needs, his people. And it's like, man, we got to get
It's
away
like
from that.
you fell into the
I'm not
trunk
saying that when shit
once
gets
again.
serious with the monkey groups, you don't have to play for your
It's
home team.
unfortunate.
Unfortunately, you might have to for survival, unless you want to be like a martyr. But like I was saying, it's a shame to see really smart guys have education be used to maintain or generate systems of inequity. That
Yeah.
sucks,
Well,
man.
well, to go back on your you know, our ability to kill humans over idealisms. You would think it's almost the fact that we can kill people over that. Also, to me, it also states that it's our duty to rise above that, and to not fall into those tribalistic traps. You know, it's my sun god versus your moon god, or my science versus your science. You know, on a competitive spectrum, to push each other forward, sure. But to the point of drawing blood and murdering one another over it, it's like, come on, let's think, let's rise above this occasion, and realize that we don't have to fling our shit.
Yeah. Well, after reading so much Nietzsche, it's hard to imagine a world in which we can overcome that. I still like to, though. I still like to imagine that we can do that.
I mean, don't get me
I'm
wrong.
holding out hope, man.
I don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, it's about the acquisition of power, whatever form it may take. It is, you know, maybe it's the Christian power, the Jewish power, the USA power, the USSR power, communist China's power,
Yeah, it's a shame that for our
or whatever.
species, it's a shame that for our species, the power doesn't accumulate and unify. And we
No,
don't have like a singular aim towards or a singular structure for power seeking. And that
well, I
sucks.
think that
The
comes down
closest
to
we do is our biology. That's the closest we have to that is our shared biology.
you know, there's probably multiple avenues for it, but I would say one of them would be just the lack of trust. you just were at a certain point, you just worried about being stabbed in the back, double
Yeah. So
crossed.
let me ask you this: can you educate trust? Can you build into the education system a mechanism for
Yes.
trust and build a high trust society?
Yeah. It's more. Yes. You can. It's one of those. You're you're looking for a watering hole. You scape it out for a couple of days. When you find it, check and see if there's any predators hiding in the water. So you let other prey predator types come up to the watering hole to see if they get attacked as they're drinking from the watering hole. And if they don't get attacked within whatever allotted time that you've given it that you're comfortable with, you feel like you can trust that watering hole now. And every now and then you need to test it again, because who knows, maybe something moved in while you were
Yeah, but
gone.
how will that apply to like interpersonal relationships?
I don't know. That's complex,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Can we
but
actually build
it can
trust
be
into the
taught. If it can be done we develop like that on a far
Yeah,
simple
I
level.
think that right now, I mean, how do you think we've developed trust in our society so far? Like in the family, in like
Yeah,
religious
that's a
structures?
start. In your community,
Yeah,
your local communities. I mean, for the most
it
part, y'all fairly trust each other. That's why you're not killing each other when you leave your house to go to work, right? Like, I trust him
yeah, I
enough. He's
mean
not going to run me off the road and jack me out of the car and take me for all I'm worth. I
some
trust
people
that's not
do
going to happen.
that.
Yeah, but those are
Some people do
outliers,
that. Yeah,
you
I
know.
know.
And
Like
we
yeah, less than 10% of our society.
yeah, and we have things to handle that.
Well, yeah, we try. And see, that's what I'm how many more people would do it if we didn't have things to handle it?
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
know.
look at these third world nations or these lesser developed nations.
Yeah,
What's different here? Why isn't there a higher? What's going on with the system of trust? And are we able to build that into the education system? Does it start in home? I'm arguing all this starts in home because
I
if the
guess
way
it
that
would.
we're going to continue to
Yeah.
generate children and is a male and a female come together
Mm-hmm.
and have intercourse and then a child is born and those two people raise that child, if that's the way we're going to continue in the future, and it looks like we're going to have to for the near
Yeah.
future, then it has to be in the home. The home has to
Mm-hmm.
be a much more serious place where the people who generate the children take it serious. They want to
Yeah. I mean,
educate these children. They want to build trust in these children, and they don't want to indoctrinate their children. They don't want to give them ideas like Santa Claus is the stupidest shit I've ever heard of. Like you make up a fake guy and have your kids believe it. It's like if no child ever knew of Santa Claus, it would not devastate their reality at all. The only
not at
thing that
all.
devastates a child not knowing about Santa Claus is the joy he misses out on because all the other children believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It's that that's weird, dude. That's the same way I feel about like Jesus
Mm-hmm.
or any of these religions. It's like the only reason you feel like when you don't follow one of these religions like you're missing out is because everyone else does. And it feels
Yeah.
like it seems like it brings something into their life that you're now lacking. I'll just call it the Santa Claus phenomenon. And it's so
Mm-hmm.
weird to me. It's super weird to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't.
It's a.
Oh well.
I would say there's many forms of joy, and that one could be counted as a mystical joy. Whether it's useful, needed, or not, I don't know. I just know we've done it for a really long time.
We have, and I'm not saying that it's valueless. I'm not saying that. That would be the wrong thing to say. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a silly thing to base your whole society around.
Right. Yeah. I
You
can agree
know,
with that.
there's other things we could base our society around that could be central to our society that I think would be more beneficial for our
I th-
species.
I think overall it's not bad. I think the duration of how long you decide to do it can be bad. Like how long should you keep the infantile act up?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, like, how long should you let a kid believe in Santa Claus? How long should you let a civilization believe in Jesus?
Yeah, it's like
you
how
know,
long until you can be like, all right, y'all get the basics, you get the fundamentals. All right, y'all know you shouldn't be out here murdering each other. We can't get nowhere.
Yeah, we can't get
Y'all,
anywhere.
yeah, it's like, y'all know if y'all work, figure some stuff out, you'll get something at the end of it. And if not, try again. Come back.
Okay, well, I want
Yeah.
to go on the opposite side of this now and take the position of you could argue that we've only gotten somewhere because we've been murdering each other. It instills a sense of competition, a sense of advancement, a sense of striving
Yeah.
towards power for different groups. And
Yeah.
because we eliminate other people, things advance and grow.
I mean, it's worth an argument, or at least a statement, to say maybe it's a must for our development. As brutal as it may seem, on the universal scale, it's nothing.
It
From
truly
what
is
I can
nothing.
see. And I'm only
Yeah.
saying that from a human perspective, though. So I
It's
really don't
also,
know, but
yeah, and I would argue that in a religious perspective, a lot of times it's also nothing because this ain't the true world.
yeah,
There's a true
yeah,
world out there, so it truly suffering in this reality doesn't matter in their perspective. It's transient, it's passing,
yeah. Which
and
is, yeah, that's a weird one too. It's almost like, why doesn't one of those religious fanatics just go nuke the world for everyone, so that
there's a group
somebody
of them
gets
that
to
might be
go?
trying.
I mean, dude, that's a weird thing we have to deal with in our society. Is that there's death cults out there. There's cults out there. They get their hands on some tech
Yeah,
that could
that's what I was about to
they'll do it.
say.
Whether it's a nuke or some type of biohazard, it's like Jesus. Like they'll do
Yeah,
it. They believe it's like, no, we need to kill all of you.
and this is why I think that's why we truly can't advance right now. We're not able to leverage technology because the people who have control over the technology, they see that what are you going to do? Give nukes to monkeys? It's like,
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of malicious actors or potential malicious actors out there.
yeah, even this AI thing is a crazy
Yeah,
thing to deliver to the mass of people and let them use.
it
It's like,
is. I mean, are as of right now, do you, do humans have the ability or capable of acknowledging, knowing, thinking about how sentient these AI programs are? Sentient at all? Some percentage? 100% our level and above? I mean, what do you have? Do we have the ability to see that? And to go along with that, there's the argument of I want to use AI programs to be my calculator and run my household chores for me while I do all the creative work. And that's fair. Us organics have our version of creativity. But depending on the sentience of the AI would have its own version of creativity as well.
yeah, depending on how far we take it. But what
But
if
I guess that goes
malicious?
back to what I was saying earlier. Is like how far do you know that you've taken it, and how far do you think you're taking it, and it's just not taking itself and leading you along.
Yeah, and I guess deep down you never really truly know. And
And I guess it
but
comes down to trust.
but back to it though, on the malicious actors thing, on people using technology to harm people
Right.
with the large language models and AI. I mean, there's no telling what they could use these things to develop.
No.
I
Yeah.
mean, it being used for blackmail in the future is a serious problem because here's one aspect where anybody can now be blackmailed with the use of AI. So we all come numb to blackmail. And now
Mm-hmm.
people hide in the fact we're all numb to blackmail and they just do whatever they want, whatever
Yeah,
egregious act. So it's
you
kind of
just
like,
end
how
up
do we?
having a bunch of behind the curtain actors at that point because
Yeah,
of a huge
I
blackmail
imagine.
operation that's ran by multiple AIs.
Yeah. I
I
like
mean,
to imagine a
what if that's
world.
a thing that happens where it's just an AI organization that they create amongst their AI selves, and they
And
just
they're
make
just
groups of
blackmailing.
humans think that it's groups of humans blackmailing other groups of humans, but really it's just
Damn,
the AI.
man. That would suck, dude. That would be a
Be
grim
absolutely, it'd
reality
be
right there.
absolutely hilarious.
We're like all prisoners of our own moral system, and it sees it and uses that against us.
Yeah, so that's
I
why
like
we
to
just got to
imagine a
get used to
future.
nuking ourselves. No, I'm playing, but I
I
see
like
what
to
you mean.
imagine a future, and we'll have a later discussion that revolves around the future of technology and the types of technology on the horizon, and like thinking really far out and what we could be capable of. But I do like to imagine a future in which I have I have a digitized version of my consciousness, and then
Hmm.
I have a highly intelligent AI system running on a computer that's on a network, and it can never be destroyed. And we store versions of this in space, and it is beamed with lasers for really fast communication. And at home, I have a small nuclear reactor out back that generates my power, so I don't have to be on a
Hmm.
grid. And you have super, these hyper technical individual people living sparsely. That way, we don't all have to accumulate in the cities. I like to
Hmm.
imagine that kind of future where we've created these virtual realities where we socialize, and this kind of like spread out but hyper linked group of people. I like to imagine that's the future
Yeah, through
we're
virtual
moving towards. But
realities, that would
how do
be
you
awesome.
give that? How do you develop that? How do you allow people to have a reactor in their backyard to generate power? How do you
And
allow
not,
that?
yeah, not make expect them to not be malicious
Weaponize
with
it.
it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it goes back to an earlier point that we're mostly you were making is we got to bring eugenics back onto the open stage. It's got to stop being a
Why
behind the
does it keep
scenes
coming
player.
back to this though? I know. It's got to be like we're all able to have
Because
access
all
to
of
the
us
best
of
our
what we
genetics
are
can
is
provide.
all of us of what we are is deeply ingrained through us through millions of years of development.
I
We got to
know,
find a
and
way
we
to
should all
manipulate
have
that.
access. We should all have access to the best our genetics can provide for us. And
Yeah.
that's truly what will help level up our species and
Mhm.
let us leverage the power that we can generate. That's
Mhm.
and not use it to destroy ourselves or inhibit ourselves or become unwitting agents of entropy. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I, I, I know one thing. The future's coming for you kids. It's coming.